What's up, Metal Brethren? Scott Tannic one coming at you again live from the dungeon with yet another album review. And this album is from another legendary band, Slayer. We're going to talk about 2015's It's Repentless. A lot of people were anticipating this one, myself in particular. And there was a lot of drama leading up to this one. First album since 2009's World Painted Blood. The band has suffered a lot of personal tragedies coming into this one. Dave Lombardo with his his inability to come into a agreeable term contract with the boys in the band, and of course not to be outshined by the tragic passing of Jeff Hanneman in 2013. That being said, I think this is a kind of a comeback album for Slayer. A lot of people disagree. A lot of people seem to think that this album is just Slayer doing par for the course, and I can kind of agree with that. But yet, again, at the same time, to lose two key members of the band and yet come back with a disc this strong, I think it's a testament to the perseverance of this band. Gary Holt coming in for Jeff, I think, is just a perfect fit. Now, personally, I think they should have let him have a little more freedom with writing. Some of the leads, I think, are just, they're stock. And that's not a slight Slayer at all, but yet at the same time, with a guitar player of Gary Holt's caliber, I think they should have just let him have a little bit more freedom, let him run with it a little bit more instead of, this wasn't wrote for you, that wasn't wrote for you, I'm Kerry King, and, this is my band. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about some of the tracks because I think this album has some really strong tracks on it, and I hope it's a precursor for things to come with Slayer, because honestly, I really love this band. Of the big four, this is the one that I still keep going back to, besides Metallica, and a lot of people give that band crap, but we'll get into that in another video. But some of the tracks on Repentless are just so basic and yet so just typical Slayer, which kind of is a handicap a little bit, but not really. Not in my opinion, especially being a hardcore member of Slayer Nation. The title track, Repentless, is just a blistering track. I mean, it's an homage to Jeff, and you couldn't say that even more with just the lyrics on this track are just monstrous. Tom Araya, I think, sounds better than he has in a very long time. I know he's getting up there in the years. He's kind of looking like, Rip Van Winkle with his gray beard and everything. But, I mean, I think this band has weathered the storm that's come pretty good. Another standout track for me, I think, is Take Control. Take Control is a just really cool sounding track. It's got a lot of great lyrical content, in my opinion. Let's go to another one that I think is really great, and that is Implode, which was the first kind of single off this one. Another one that I think is just great is Piano Wire. It's one of the last things that Jeff Hanneman wrote before he passed. It's very weird, very atmospheric, and I just dig it. I really dig that track. Let's see, what else? Cast the First Stone. That's another good one. Kind of gets into the whole Catholic Church molestation thing, which I think is kind of overplayed, but yet at the same time, subject I think makes for really cool metal songs. Vices. Vices is one of those that comes off kind of comical, though I think it's like violence is the ultimate drug, let's get high. I think that's kind of goofy, but yet at the same time, I respect what they're trying to where they're coming from on this track. It's typical Slayer. I mean, the thing with this album that I think is polarizing so many people is the fact that it does sound kind of just like stock for this band. A lot of people think they just need to hang it up. I couldn't disagree with you guys more. I think Slayer is one of those bands that stay true to their style and don't compromise on shit, and I respect that big time. I think, Carrie and Tom, the last two original members of this band, are kind of having to come into their own, kind of having to grow up a little bit since, Jeff and Lombardo just, all the stuff that happened with those two cats just kind of, yeah, it takes away from the core of the band, but yet at the same time, Paul Bustoff, I can't praise him enough. I think he's the perfect fill-in for Lombardo. I mean, Dave's drumming is great, but, Paul's no slouch. I mean, he's getting a lot of flack because everyone's saying his drums sound recycled and whatnot, and I think that's a load of crap. I think, he's one of those unsung drummers that just a lot of people want to just diss on just for something to bitch about. Gary Holt, man, I know I mentioned him earlier, but Gary is probably one of the best thrash metal guitarists out there. I think he puts Dave Mustaine to shame. Some of his riffs with Exodus are just, oh my God, they're amazing. Um, but yet again, at the same time, I can see where a lot of people are just really down on this record. I was a little bit let down, just, to be honest, but given the circumstances of what Slayer's gone through coming up into this one, I just think this is a big middle finger to all those who want to hate. Um, I think this album is stellar. Well, stellar's kind of too much. I think it's a really, really great offering considering what's going on with this band in particular. I'd recommend this one to anyone, especially a Slayer fan. If you're a fan of Slayer, definitely check this one out. Is it Seasons in the Abyss? No. Is it Rain and Blood? Definitely not. Is it Hell Awaits? No. It's a different cup of tea. It's a different side of Slayer that I think kind of needs to be shown. It's, them kind of dealing with the tragic loss of Jeff and, the differences they keep having with Dave. It's just, I think it's a stellar comeback. I really can't praise it enough. But you may disagree with me, A lot of people will. I've seen a lot of hate comments on this record, and I think that's just fair weather fans. To be honest, there's what, no Jeff, no Slayer. That's bullcrap, man. This band can go on. I think this band's still got a lot of life left in them. I'm going to go ahead and rate this beast for you, and I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 just because I really dig the vibe of this record. But, a lot will disagree with me. But, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what's going on, Peace.